Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Tallahassee.
Good
As
morning.
as everybody starts to come on board, good morning with the Capital City Chamber of Commerce. We have Chrissy Saunders here with us. And also we have Kathleen Sheehers. Am I
Spihar.
saying that right?
Spihar.
What? So
Spihar.
Tallahassee, you see, in order for me to pronounce, you see, she had to put the pronunciation down there for Katrina. Uh, this is what we do. We have to start off laugh and also with coffee. And so we're coming to you, even though it's 11 o'clock. It's up. Look, it's almost brunch time, but we had to come before you today because we started it off. Kathleen started off on Monday. Talking of this issue with the Big Bend Minority Chamber, which was great. I heard that it was great. People there, and also it was great information given out there. But today makes it special, and I'm gonna let Kathleen say that she's always smiling. I'm gonna let her say what makes today so special. But as you come on, please, please, please go ahead and tag and share, so that we're able to get this information out. And as moving forward with the Capital City Chamber, as funding and dollars come out into the community, we will make sure, along with our other collaborative partners in the community, make sure that you get the resource information and also get step-by-step on how to apply, and also get step-by-step how to get yourself ready. I can pound on that 100 times. Please get yourself document ready in order to apply for the funding that's coming down, especially with the American Rescue Plan. All right. So as we get more and more people to start sharing this great information, we're going to be talking about today is the Shuttered Venue Grant. That's coming out, and I'm going to let Kathleen start off with this. She has a wonderful PowerPoint, but you can put your questions down at the bottom if you have questions, and when we circle around to the questions, we'll be sure to get your questions and your comments. Thank you again for attending. Kathleen.
Thank you so much, Katrina. It's just such a joy to be here today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So Kathleen Spihar here with COCA, the Council on Cultural Arts. And for anyone that doesn't know who we are based in Tallahassee. We are a nonprofit organization that's the local arts agency of Tallahassee and Leon County. And especially since what's on our portfolio is arts, culture, history, and heritage. So in this past year, with everything going on in the pandemic, one of the things that we've been following very closely is the impact of the pandemic on artists, arts and culture, industry, businesses, organizations, and so on. And so, when Katrina, as you were talking about, being document ready, I think that's fantastic advice, because what has been happening since the pandemic is that there have been new opportunities for funding for the community, and especially for arts and culture. And, arts and culture traditionally over the last probably 10, 20 years, opportunities have not been expanding, they've been contracting. And so that's one of the things that the pandemic has done, is it's been, the stimulus that's come down has been expanded into arts and culture, history, and heritage because of advocacy. And that's one of the things that COCA has been doing, is stepping into that advocacy role more robustly to make sure that both local, state, and national resources are in place. So what I have to talk
Right. Kathleen, that's why I reached out to the expert. Tallahassee, this is our expert. This is our expert here in the community for as it goes to arts. And I love to see the art and everything that's going on in the community. I love to make sure when any type of music event is going on around in the community, Kathleen knows about it. So what I did, I knew this funding was coming down, and I was like, I got to connect with Kathleen. That's what Capital City Chamber does, because I don't know how to help you get a new guitar. I don't know how to help you get on stage or anything. But the funding part and getting you document ready, that's where the Capital City Chamber come in. So go ahead, Kathleen. It's back to you. I was just doing your introduction.
Thank you. No, that's fantastic. And please, I want to make sure this is a conversation. If not, this is a huge, new legislation is really weighty. And this legislation for Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, that actually was approved in December of 2020, December 27th of 2020. So that, under the old administration, and then additional resources were put in under that, under the newest act, the American Relief Act. So those two things combined together kind of the last a little over 3 months, developed the portal and the application process and so on and so forth for this this grant. It was kind of like when you look at a startup and, all the things that you have to do and you're running around trying to put it all together. I mean,
Right.
SVA and all the many things it's been doing this with this particular legislation too. So I'm going to be giving you today like a spattering of what this is really about, along with some tips, because I was sharing with Katrina that I've actually been every week I've been in a meeting with Americans for the Arts, fly on the wall sometimes, or just, continuing to participate in these conversations about, how is this legislation being developed, and how do you apply for this, and what's the SBA saying, and what are the, like the little tips that have never made it to the SBA site. And that's what some of the things I can share with you today. So, and I just want to also interject that that this actually opportunity is opening in an hour. So at noon today, this portal will be open and it'll be available, and it's going to just be everybody just apply. And so we'll get to that eventually. But I just want to make sure that everybody understood that and the portal's open, and then it'll just be open for people to apply to.
Okay, Kathleen, did you share this on your social media page? Did you? Are people from COCA looking at us right now?
It is on our COCA.
In the art community, I can't even draw a stick man, so please. This is the only time that I'm accepted when I'm helping with funding. So I love art, but I just can't cut straight, can't draw.
Gotcha.
I wish I could, but okay, so go ahead. It opens up at 12 o'clock.
Noon today. Yep, noon today. Exactly, noon today our time. So why don't we go ahead and go on to the second slide, and I can just kind of walk you through this.
Okay.
What we've got here. And then please feel free to, as I keep moving, however you would like us to pause in the conversation, please let me know. But if you don't know the legislation, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant is a $16.25 billion with a B, initiative. There's never been anything like this that has come through for the longest time through our government entities. So basically, I'm not going to read the slide to you, but basically it is stimulus that is for arts and culture, really looking and really focusing on especially performing arts, venues, talent representatives, talent producers, some museums, some movie theaters, and some like schools or nonprofit organizations that service communities through, especially through performing arts. There's some eligibility criteria that you can see there on the screen. But before I get to that, my little notes that are highlighted kind of also clarify this, because again, under new legislation, it's a new way to think. So this is a grant. It's a grant. It's not a loan. It's a grant. And the grant is available for for-profit organizations. That could be a one-person shop all the way through, a 300, 400 person venue. So, and a whole bunch of variety in between. So, but it is a grant. It's not like some of the other stimulus where it's been a loan and maybe it can become a grant and maybe it's not, it's going to stay a loan. This is actually a grant that you do not have to pay back. And it is, if you're a for-profit organization, you can qualify. And if you're a nonprofit organization, you can also qualify. And then there's some government entities that can. If you're a venue that is an arm of government and you meet the eligibility criteria, you may be also able to apply for this. So you can see that the eligibility also is a little more detailed below this, for including, like I said, live venues, theatrical producers, some of the live performances, talent representative producers, all those folks can apply for this. This has been, it kind of, when we look at how this industry has been shut down, which it had a 70% unemployment rate way back, and it still has not really improved that much because it's been shuttered almost for the whole entire year. These are the folks, this is the talent, the community members that are really been the hardest hit. And so this is specifically legislation to try to provide really substantial resources for these folks. there's, some of the, if you're an industry member and you have already applied for PPP, that's great. If you have not applied for PPP yet and you're thinking about it and you want to know, you want to apply for shuttered venues at the end of this, please note that you need to apply for PPP first and then shuttered venues second. Because if you do it the opposite way, you will not be qualified for PPP. You have to apply for PPP first. It doesn't have to be approved. You just have to have your application in, and then you can apply for your shuttered venues.
Because when you start talking about steps and processes, everybody, please. And Chrissy's she's gonna put this down in the chat, that you have to apply for the PPP first in order to then apply for the Shuttered Venue Operations Grant. One of the things with Capital City Chamber, if you have not applied for the PPP, or if you're afraid to do so, we have partners that we have collaborated with where you can get that PPP application submitted. So please contact us at, you can contact us at 692-3406, and we will definitely be happy to help you get that application submitted. So once you get that application submitted, then you'll be able, is that what you're saying, Kathleen? Then you'll be able to apply for the COCA grant?
For the Shuttered Venues Operating Grant. And this is through the Small Business Administration. So this is through SBA. COCA can answer questions, but this is not one of our grant programs. I mean, I would love to have $16.25 billion to give away. Oh my God. Put me in line. Put me in line for that, but unfortunately, we not yet. We're not there yet, but we are. We can help out, and also we'll be working with Capital City Chamber to make sure that we're working together on this to make sure any questions are answered within constituents in the community. And I put the PPP on this page because this eligibility piece is usually, this is where everybody, this is kind of separates. Am I going to do this? Am I going to do shuttered venues and PPP, or am I going to do just PPP? It really helps to understand that, because the arts and culture is just such a huge industry, and there's photographers and there's visual artists and so on and so forth. And this eligibility piece is crucial to understand. For example, if you are a talent representative and you just have visual artists on your roster, you won't be able to qualify for this. But if you have performing artists and visual artists on your roster, you would be able to apply for it. So, I mean, it's this little detail that is really helpful to understand. And this is where we're trying to understand what people's questions are and what do you need to know and how we can help you answer them, because that will make a big difference between how much money you would be able to access.
And there are always nuances. What we are discovering, this landscape of all these loans, PPP, and grants that are out there for businesses and communities who, obviously, every community has been impacted by the COVID pandemic. I myself am a visual artist and collaborate with artists worldwide, but we also have another artist who's with us, and I'd like to bring him in right now. We have Mr. Darius Doc D. Baker.
Hey.
Welcome, Darius.
Hello. Honored to be a part of this great discussion. I think it's needed, and it's just really a great opportunity for all artists and musicians to capitalize on this. This is really great. I've been doing Tallahassee Nights Live for over 14 years here in the city, helping artists. We're a platform for all artists, and we travel, we tour, and it just says so much about our government and our local government, especially the COCA, and how much you guys care about our local artists. Now, me too, I'm an artist as well. I have so many artists that are up under me that I take the responsibility of sheltering and helping out, putting on platforms. And we were actually in the middle of our third cruise that was already sold out. And also we had an event, a Motown event that we're doing at another local great establishment here, the Tallahassee Theater, that was already booked and people had already bought tickets. When this COVID hit, all of that was canceled. We had to, abide by the local ordinances, and we had to cancel it, refund money. We lost deposits. There are many artists and musicians who are schooled, who have degrees, who have doctorates, but they do this. This is a part of their livelihood as far as performance. So when these venues shut down, they lost a lot of income. You know, and also I'm blessed to be the program director of a radio station, as well as doing what God has gifted me to do in music. But you have some artists that this is all they do. You know, this is all they do. Broadway plays. I have a friend that actually is a musician on Broadway plays, and that's all he does. But once this hit, it shut everything down. And what we expected to be maybe a month or 2 months, we're over a year now. So this is needed, especially venues. Me being a promoter, as well as a platform for artists, I think it's just it's amazing. So we perish by lack of knowledge, and I thank you guys so much for having this discussion that maybe can give some wisdom and some knowledge to a lot of the artists out there who may qualify for this grant.
Darius, you speak the truth, and I'm so glad that you brought that up, because what artists have been doing is double duty, been like supporting everybody emotionally, and spiritually during this whole entire pandemic, and continuing to to be positive and push work out there while we're dealing with our own industry, with the condition of what our industry is. And when will you guys be able to go through live performance again? Do you have any idea?
Well, we're actually getting calls now.
Good.
That things are lining up. But we actually, to be honest with you, we've gotten calls previously, like in the past 3 or 4 months. But my personal relationship with a high power just didn't release me to do that. My main goal is the safety of everyone and the performers that are up under me. So I didn't think it was time, because the events that we do, they attract a lot of people. Our closed events that we do are table seated. You have the food and the it's and it's a little too intimate for me to be for me to release it at that time, months ago when we were getting the calls.
I get my vaccine Saturday, so I'll be able to attend.
Yes. So with the vaccine numbers kind of going up, and we got to do better. Everyone got to play the role and do better. But things are looking good. We're starting to book dates now, but that still does not obliterate the past year or 16 months or so that artists have virtually acquired nothing. When it comes to performance, when it comes to what they're doing for a living. I mean, I have so many stories that I know is being truth, that artists and musicians have suffered, lost homes, had to move in with other people, find other jobs. And I don't want the public to really look at artists or musicians as they're just giggers, just doing gigs. Like I said, you have people that have gone to school and in performance, vocal performance. This is what their degree is in. So why wouldn't they want to make a living out of it? So when these venues shut down, I know of club owners who had put in money to actually build their venue, to actually bring in more artists, and they didn't know that COVID was going to hit. So they expended a lot of money to build up these venues that welcome everyone, and it hit. It was out of our control. So I'm really excited about this grant that's going to help so many people. We just got to get the knowledge out there.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, why don't we keep going with this knowledge sharing, because that's exactly it. And I want to make sure that by the end of this, that you have as many tools as possible. Everybody that's listening, and you're telling your friends about where these resources are, that we can just help get this out as much as possible. So why don't we go on to the next slide, and we can talk a little bit more about that. So the grant amounts are really, and the kind of the how to apply, or how to apply and so on. The grant amounts are really going to be really various depending on your budget size. So like I said, anything small, large, one-person shops to larger shops are, can apply. I'm going to really kind of focus in on what the aid is, especially for the kind of smaller venues. So if you have a venue of 50 or below, you actually have a $2 billion of that $16.25 billion that is designated for any of those shops. So, one person, two person shops and so on, and smaller venues. So that's really fantastic. I quite frankly wish it was more, and we kind of pushed for that, but decisions were made, and we just keep saying, you know, let's just keep pounding away at our elected officials so that they understand this is great, but you know, when more is needed, especially for smaller folks, this is what they need to do. But there is something available here. So you'll see that you can, depending on what your loss is, the loss ratios are anywhere from like a 90% loss of revenue, 70% loss of revenue, of 25% loss of revenue. So there's some different places. So if you've lost a lot, or if you've even lost some, there is a way for you to still ask. And I think that's the most important thing. And I have listed what, you know, this first priority, second priority, third priority, right? Completely ignore that. Because the thing that's what's happened with SBA is that, you know, bless them, that they had, you know, like they had taken 3 months to put together like a brand new program. It's like, you know, building an entire house in 3 months, right? You know, designing it and building it and then inviting people to live in it in 3 months, right? So as they're going, they're making all sorts of changes. So like just this week, they said, you know what, forget the priorities, just apply. So like I said, you know, the portal's opening today at noon. And so if you are part of, you know, if you are suffering from a smaller loss, anywhere from a small loss to a larger loss, and, you know, and it says here that you're supposed to wait, don't wait, just apply, just get your application in. And that's why I was like, ASAP, you know, again, that the big thing is to figure out whether you're going to need to apply for PPP first before you need to do that. Okay. And if you're either a first draw or second draw PPP, you would still need to get that application in before this would happen. So, so this is a lot of information that is actually on the SBA website. So I'm just going to pause here like to see if there's like any questions about it, because mainly this is just about how to kind of approach, you know, to planning your application. Like we basically are like, you know, just apply now. So
yeah.
Any questions?
So Kathleen, if you could, when we get done with this, share your slides with me so that I can share it with the chamber members and email that out to everybody. I'm sure Dot D has people that he can share this with as well and use it. We can use this as a guide and a template for the community. I'm sure it's going to be posted somewhere on COCA's that you guys going to share it also, because you did an awesome job pulling this information together. How, if someone has, I got a question for you that we haven't gotten even from the community yet. If they have not applied for their PPP, go get that taken care of within a day or two, right? They go get their PPP taken care of within a day or two. What documentation are they going to have to give to the SBA? Will they have? Is it some type of receipt paperwork that you submitted? Will you have already received the paper, the PPP, or denied? How does that work? Do you know?
You need to acknowledge that you have applied for it, and what will happen is if you had a first draw PPP. That doesn't have anything to do with this. That's fine. And you will not have to, I guess, declare it here. But if you have a second draw PPP, especially if you've been awarded it, and go for shuttered venues, the thing about this is the second draw PPP, whatever the amount is, that would be subtracted from your award. But that only for this year. So if it's your first or second draw of PPP, that would be subtracted from the SVOG. But the SVOG amount is going to be so much not that you know, it's just still worth doing it, because you can apply for like up to 45%, not $1,000 or, you know, or 100 or anything, but 45% of your losses on this. And, you know, PPP just doesn't allow that kind of a massive amount of support.
Dee, are you over there applying right now? Because I see you moving over there to the computer. You over there applying. But listen, so what I'm hearing, and I go down into detail so that when people call here to the office, I'm able to answer them correctly. So long as you submit your PPP paperwork, then you're able to apply for this SBA, because will it hold up anything if you haven't gotten an answer from your second submittal of your PPP, if it's going to deduct that if it's going to deduct that dollar amount from this particular grant? Will it not hold up anything? that you know?
It's not gonna hold up anything because there's so much that needs to be processed for this thing. What you need to just acknowledge is that for as far as documents, you talked about getting your documents in order. I mean, the blessing of this legislation, because the federal government is going through so much with this right now, is that they're being pretty understanding about what the requirements are. So if you apply, that's what you need. You know, they just need to know that you applied for it. And then whenever you would get your PPP notification, then they would, you need to make an adjustment from there. And so you could go ahead and back end that. You don't have to front load that information, but you do need to say, yes, I did apply. And, or, my application's in process. So
exactly. That's good to know. And hopefully it's clear for everyone in the community. I'm going to let you go to the next slide because, of course, I have more.
Go ahead. Sure, absolutely.
I actually want to go ahead and share a question from the audience real quick before we go on to the next slide. We've got a question from Sherry. This is only for groups who have loss of earned revenue, correct? Meaning an admission fee. So we are a museum with a theater, but we have donation-based admission.
Yes.
And I know that's a very specific question.
Right. And so the donation piece of this has been so let me put it this way. There's been so much conversation about this that there are 37 pages of frequently asked questions and solutions to this. So, something that was like a policy piece that was embedded like maybe 6 weeks ago has probably been changed. And so the donation piece of it is part of it, because there's another group in Tallahassee that also was facing this, where it's all donations, it's all donation based ticketing, and so they're allowed to apply because it doesn't matter about the donation piece of it, but they were able to they paid their artists and they have tuition payment from a school. And so that still qualified them. I think that if you have 100%, if you have no earned revenue at all, like if you don't sell merch or if you don't sell memberships or if you don't sell that's the real gray area of this right now for nonprofits. You need to demonstrate some kind of earned revenue for that, but it doesn't matter that you have all donations for your ticketing. What matters is that you're paying your artists. If you have your artists working for free, that's the problem that this legislation will have. You actually will not be able to apply for that. That will take you out of eligibility. But you have to make sure that you're paying your artists. You have to make, or if your artists are being paid for, you have to be paying your artistic staff. I mean, there has to be payment made to artists or artistic staff in order to qualify for that. But as far as the ticketing piece of it, that shouldn't take you out from applying. Just through donations. Mm-hmm. So there's a bunch of allowable uses of funds on here. And so that's the great thing about this legislation, is it really digs into industry specific needs. So where other, there might've been other problems with fully asking for what you need from other stimulus plans, especially mainly federal stimulus plans, like for PPP, if you have to be a W-2 employee and you can't be a 1099 employee. I know that the SBA finally fixed that, but they didn't the first time around, but this legislation handles that. And so, if you have 1099 employees, W-2 employees, if you have, a permanent temporary works, part-time, full-time, anything like that, rent payments, utility costs. If you suffered losses because you're an artist and you were going to tour and you had upfront expenses from touring and then you couldn't get those reimbursed. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that can be put into this kind of legislation, because it can end up going back to I think it's February. I think it says there. It's in February. I think it's either February 15th or February 29th. Those two dates are in my head right now. I'm looking at my own. I think it's February 15th. Yeah, there it is. So you can go back to the February 15th date of 2020 and look at what your expense losses were from then on, and start to and your revenue losses were what your revenue losses were at that time, and what your expenses were that have not been reimbursed, and it can count that in as part of this this legislation. It also says in there like what doesn't qualify, and it's kind of the standard, like in mortgage payments or like loan payments. You can't use this for, but you can use it for like any kind of especially hard costs, especially for losses that you've incurred that have not been part of that have not, especially the ones that have not been allowable under other programs. One thing that, especially for small businesses and for independent operators, to consider is that if you've gotten unemployment or if you've gotten PPP and you are declaring payroll, make sure that you're not declaring the same period. So let's say you got. Let's say March of 2020, you said, okay, I got PPP or I got unemployment for March and April of 2020. You can't use those periods on this grant. So skip those periods and then start with like May or with June or July. And look at that.
You can't double dip. So that's what you
can't double dipping. I'm trying to say you can't double dip through because they're federal programs that you can't double dip on.
You can't double dip. You making it so you giving us all the great details, but I'm just adding a little sling in there. You can't double dip, you can't double cross or anything like that. So thank you for keeping us straight on that. And everybody, like you're saying, everybody's going to be everybody's situation is different. Everybody's case is going to be different. But again, COCA is here to help you. Capital City Chamber is here to help you. And we'll love sticking by you, making the resources come to our community, because we would love to see a great percentage of this money come to our community. And we're here to help you get it. How many more slides we have?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and go to the next one? And let's see. Yep. So this is the one, and these are like just some tips if you decide to apply. So one of the things that if you're not scared away by this, if you're still courageous and are going to move forward with all of this stuff, because it's going to be a lift. I mean, you know, it's a bit of a lift. It's a lot of money, but it also is there's requirements to it. If you decide that you're going to apply to this, not only does a PPP have to be in place, but you have to apply for a DUNS number through Duns and Bradstreet, and you have to apply through SAM, okay? And those are two federal programs, they're the registration programs, basically. And you don't have to be approved, you just have to apply. And you have to prove that on your application that you have, that you just, you know, have submitted your application and your registration for both of these two places.
Just made me excited again. So wait a minute, because when Capital City Chamber, when we applied for some grant funding last year, we had to be approved for the DUNS number. We had to already be approved for the SAMs. So you're saying that these entities just have to apply, not be approved, not get that email approved, but then we can go ahead at 12 o'clock today, when this opens, they can go ahead and submit for this applicant. There's
right. So, you know, if you have your cup of coffee and you're going to go into the night. Yeah. Great. Okay. Fantastic. I'm glad that you're approved. That's even going to be even smoother.
I need to come over there and we make a video of submitting Tallahassee Nightlife, because that's our favorite band. That is one of our favorite bands around here. Even when I don't want to dance, I go to dancing. But that is great to know, because some people get scared. And getting an artist, you know, just like any other small business, they have the skill, they can sing their heads off, or they can play the instrument. It's just the administrative side. So again, COCA and Capital City Chamber, and even Doc D at 95.3, he's over there to be a resource, working with the Capital City Chamber to make sure that the musicians and the team that he has up under him, that you're able to utilize this funding.
Absolutely. And, you know, some of this might be new work that you have to do that maybe you've never done before. And so it's really good to know how to get it done. And that's, you know, if the how is preventing you from between, you know, like if you're here and the money's over here and the how, like the pathway to how is just not paved as like it needs to be, then that's what we need to help you do is to help you pave that path, or find the help in order to make that path paved. Because once that path is paved, it's also going to be, it can potentially empower you to also continue to go for more stimulus as that comes down the pike.
Right.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's something that we all should partake in. I'm just talking to a lot of artists and musicians that call me for advice, and I always refer them to people that know that has the knowledge if I don't have it. But there's a lot of fear dealing with it when it comes to applying for something federally and making sure that things are done right. They don't want to disclose a lot of information, scared that numbers may not be right and they may get audited, and so many different myths out there. But I try to, instill in them if you do things correctly, then you don't have anything to worry about. The funding is there. We just have to get the knowledge out there and let folks know that it's available, and they have to know where and how to get it. And I'm so glad, so thankful that the COCA and the Chamber are getting out there, letting folks know, hey, that's what we're here for, to show you how to get to the funding, because there's so many people here that's deserving of it. Artists and musicians, and even some of the venues, and music just makes things so much better. Arts, just to be able to release stress, and just it's this past year without this outlet, it just really kind of felt different. I don't know if I'm the only one. It just kind of, without being able to congregate with other lovers of the arts and just to really kind of be together. So I think that this is just a great thing.
Absolutely, you speak the truth. And a couple of things too about, I'm so glad that you brought up the hesitancy about applying, because it is, you're putting your trust of your business, you're putting your trust of, it's your creative life too, right? Creative life and business into the hands of this program that's brand new, folks you don't even know, in a system that you're not sure about. And all of those hesitancies, I think, are extremely valid. But again, if that's going to prevent from walking down the pathway, then we need to do whatever we can in order to try to help pave that place and to put some confidence into that what's going to happen, that what you're going to do, and that you're putting that out there. And this is not going to be a perfect portal at all. There's going to be things that are going to be wrong with it. We know that. We're thankful that it's there, but we also know that there's going to be problems. One problem is, and I'm just going to say this off the bat, is that when you apply, if there's something wrong with your application, there isn't an amendment period. So you can't go back and amend your application and resubmit it right now. It's just it's a submit and done. And so right there, it has people I've talked to, artists I've talked to, it's a lot of stress, because you want it, it's got to be perfect, but you're not sure how to get it perfect because this has been, put together so quickly. And there's been changes happening all the way up through this week. And so
Kathleen, can we set up, me and you can get together later and set up times when we can do actually Zooms, or when people want to help submit their applications, in the place to help them do that, because that's kind of scary. If you can't go back and amend it, I always like to use my cursor on my pens or my backspace button or something. So that's kind of nerve-wracking. We can make sure that, of course, they have applied for the PPP, of course, the DUNS number and the SAMs. But when you get there to fill out the application, and even on the finance component, where how you pay your musicians, Capital City Chamber has set up ways and pathways in order for you to get your documents right. I keep saying the same thing, because as we move forward with COVID and years to come, you're going to need your documents and paperwork ready in order to even receive thousands. We're talking about billions right now, but in order to receive any type of funding, you need your documents correctly.
Absolutely.
One screen, the previous slide, Chrissy, if you can go back, it pointed out a financial institution.
It did.
That I'm going to ask Kathleen to speak on that about. What is that about?
Absolutely. So above that financial institution is all about the SVOG. The financial institution really has to do more with PPP. And so this particular financial institution, Noteworthy Credit Union in Cleveland, Ohio, was basically founded to help the Cleveland Institute of Music. So they have a huge artist entrepreneurship program there. And so that credit union was set up so that artists could get really solid financial help to set up accounts, to get their businesses rolling, and so on and so forth. So they have been helping out artists from around the country with PPP. So if you are an artist and you need some special help with your PPP, they are taking applicants from all over the place. And so, and every art form. So from visual artists to performing artists to filmmakers to choreographers, and you name it. But if you wanted to apply, and especially they're working with a lot of small businesses. So, small mom and pop shops, one person LLCs and things like that. So if you're interested, Janine is the person to contact there. Her contact information is there, and I'm happy to help you out with that. There's also an artist, a photographer that has offered to help people out. So Bob Bubel has been amazing. He's been part of these weekly conversations that I've been having at Americans for the Arts. And so he has worked with Noteworthy and has actually brought in artists to the PPP program there. So he's there, his cell phone's there. So he has just offered and kind of opened up his knowledge base as an independent artist to say, here's how Noteworthy can help you, and I can help get you connected, and so on and so forth. So it's been really tremendous. And he has especially been helping out with this whole PPP and unemployment piece, because that has been tripping up some independent artists, especially, who have gotten unemployment and are applying for PPP and are trying to figure out, what to submit when, so that their applications are not either rejected or not postponed for PPP. So those two resources are out there, and they'll be in this. This PowerPoint is going to go to the Capital City Chamber and be on COCA's website and so on. So, but feel free to reach out to those folks if you need to, or bring me into that conversation as needed in order to help connect you.
Oh, you're going to be there. You don't have to beg. And then on top of it, I did notice where they would have already had to have done their 2020 tax return.
Yes, that's suggested. That is suggested. So let's say your tax return is completed. That's the best thing for SVOG. But if it's again in process, or you are intending to apply, that is not going to prevent you from SVOG. It's just better if you can have it done beforehand.
Okay. All right. We are actually, I want to check with Chrissy to see if we have any comments, or because I'm going to go back over here to Doc D for a second. But Chrissy, do we have any questions from our community?
I think we covered the gamut, but yes, if you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead and post your questions and comments even after this live stream has ended, because this will be posted as a video. And clearly, I know that Katrina or Kathleen and also Erica, who is behind the scenes, would be able to get in touch with you and connect with you about getting those questions answered.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the things that this is what Capital City Chamber does, is to make sure that the businesses here stay alive and applying for the right funding that fits your need. And we try to give step-by-step directions. I try to connect you with the experts that are there. We may not know all of the answers, but by all of us in the community collaborating together, we can make it happen. So when I reached out to Kathleen and I reached out to Darius Baker, Doc D, everybody calls him Doc D, they were like, oh, wow, yeah, everybody needs to know this information, because on the back end, all of us were asking each other questions like, what to do, what happened to Doc? I told him I was going to have him talk, and he disappeared. But on the back end, we're still asking each other questions to make sure that we guide you properly. But by Kathleen sitting in those meetings every week and making sure that she give the right information to the community, she is owning her space, and we appreciate her for that. To make sure that music and the arts industry here in our community is well serviced as far as getting these dollars that's needed within our community to go right along with what the Office of Economic Vitality is doing, what everything that the county is doing. All these dollars coming into the community makes us all shine, makes us all stay vibrant, and this is what a vibrant community looks like. And so is Doc D still, did he disappear or?
He's clicking back on.
Okay.
I
That's
see him.
right.
There we go.
As we, there he is. I was like, what happened?
Oh man.
He has a better shot right now. So and Kathleen has shared a lot of information and the people that were coming on. So Kathleen, we're gonna do a round robin and just like close us out for the community. You go ahead and share the information at COCA, and then Dr. I will come to you and share what you do in your space and how people can reach out and contact you through your artists. Kathleen?
Okay.
So I wanted to thank you for this time. I also want to encourage people, just let us know what you need, because we could continue to do these Facebook live streams. We can do public conversations. We could do office hours. I mean, we've got some of that set up already in COCA. You can just contact us at info@COCA or info@TallahasseeArts.com. You can contact me at Kathleen at TallahasseeArts.com. You know, we're happy to help, but we want to know specifically what you're looking for too. So that would be very helpful, especially if questions come popping up as you're looking at this legislation a little bit more and getting into that portal and trying to figure things out. If we need to do more of a community talk about that, happy to help out with that. And then, you know, again, this is legislation for just about, you know, everyone. Now, if you're a nonprofit organization, if you're an independent business, if you are a larger business, you know, businesses and nonprofits are very, very similar in so many ways. And the pandemic has really focused that. So for stimulus in this particular place, this is for both. And we just want to make sure that everybody understands who can come to the table, who's invited to the table, and make sure that you have what you need to eat.
Sure. And just to add to what Kathleen is saying, so we will be coming back before you as things change with this grant and we feel that the community needs to know, or it's a big shift throughout this process until it ends. We probably will come before you another 1 or 2 times as big shifts change, or it will be information given on both of all our social media platforms to where to apply, who we're working with this team to make sure that we are servicing our community well as these grant applications are open. Doc D, I wish you would have had a band behind you. That would have been nice for this morning to let them know what we're doing.
Wow. Yeah, me too. Unfortunately, at my other job, running the radio station, Hallelujah 95.3, but I'm going to do everything I can do here as well. And I want to commit to you guys, the chamber, and also COCA, that we're going to do what we can do with some PSAs to kind of get the message out about this grant that's available, or point them in the right direction to get the wisdom and the knowledge that they need to apply correctly, and to ease some of those hesitancies with some of the myths or things that may be feeling about applying for it. So with Tallahassee Nights Live, we're a platform. We're a platform for the artists to go to the next level. So many people have come through TNL and have won Grammys and have, you know, our saxophonist is playing with Lionel Richie, Bette Midler, all these, you know, that's what the platform of TNL is all about. But I just want to stress the fact that it's open to every artist. We have so many genres, so many different areas here in our city that kind of are platforms for the arts, whether it be country, whether it be drawing, artistry, and all different types of things. And it's just so much better with it. And I'm reminded of an event that we did at the Cascade with Howard Hewitt, and just seeing so many people, all different races and different ages and ethnicities, and just everyone just getting out, having a good time. I'm looking forward to those days safely to come back again. And I'm happy about this grant that's going to help alleviate some of the hardships that we've all suffered and all endured this past year. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to get the word out to not only the people that's in TNL, but the city as a whole, all artists, and let them know what's available. And even some of the venues, you know, Scott Carswell and the Tallahassee Theater, we still have a deposit there. I mean, you mentioned about things that you put down, and then when the COVID hit, We had a deposit on the charter bus to go to take us to the docking station there for our cruise. Unfortunately, that company, when it hit, they weren't in a position to give us the full deposit back. So I just said, hey, just hold on. We're all suffering from this. So hold on. So we have some things that we have to kind of go back and get to. But I do realize that it's just not us in this. It's everybody. It's everybody. So we just got to understand and help and support each other. And that's what I'm here to do as the founding and CEO of Tallahassee Nights Live. So I just thank you guys, the Coca and Chamber, so much for having me join this great discussion.
Thank you. I just want to say it's so funny that our teams from behind the scene, Chrissy works beside me all the time with the Capital City Chamber. I wouldn't be publicly nowhere if it was not for Chrissy Saunders owning what she does. And then in the COVID-19, this is what her business just jumped off. When everybody started seeing me and Chrissy and Barbara Westcott on these things, they was like, oh, that's what we need. We need one of her. So I appreciate her because she's an artist at what she does, because we would not be streaming live and everybody shining if I had to do all that behind the scenes. So we appreciate her for what she does with it. The reason why I mention that is because behind the scenes over there at Coca, we have Erica. And what Erica is doing, she keeps texting me and say, hey, I can do this, I can do that. But one of the things that she says that she can do is get together. She's going to get together with the Capital City Chamber and offer marketing for our artists that we have locally, and with Darius Baker, and make sure that he's offering his artists the marketing component that they need. And that is through Coca. And she's texting me and giving that to me the whole time. And she could have easily just popped on here and say, I got this. But she's following proper protocol, and I try to be proper when I get on these calls to the community, but I'm crazy. But I just want to say thank you for the community joining us today, this morning. Again, hey, Kathleen, tell them when the portal opens.
So it opens, let's see, it opens in 6 minutes. 10 minutes?
In 6 minutes.
6 minutes. 6 minutes.
So
yep,
what, guys,
6 minutes.
That's
right.
I know. So we're going to try to get those slides out to you so that you'll have a checklist. Do not just go to the portal and submit anything. Make sure everything is correct and submit it one time, since you can't go back and do any corrections. So let's make sure that when you submit your application that it's on point, and so that we can bring these resources to our community. Thank you again, Tallahassee community, for joining us. Hopefully this was helpful to you, and we'll be back before you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.